I remember the exact moment I realized something had to change. I was 82 years old, sitting alone at my kitchen table with a cup of tea that had gone cold. The morning light danced across the walls, and I felt a surprising pang of loneliness pierce through me. It wasn't that I didn't have family. My daughter called me every Sunday. My grandson would visit when he could, but there were these long stretches of empty days in between. I'd wake up thinking, well, here comes another quiet morning, and I'd go to sleep wondering where the hours went, feeling as though I'd wasted yet another day watching TV reruns. In moments like that, a heavy question haunted me. Is this really all that's left for me at this age? The truth is, many seniors find themselves in a similar situation, cut off from regular social interactions, missing the camaraderie of friends or colleagues, and unsure where to find meaningful engagement. Sometimes it feels like society decides your life is winding down as soon as you turn 70. It's easy to believe the myth that we should take it slow and stay comfortably at home. But I'm here to tell you that this sense of isolation can be just as damaging to our health as any physical ailment. We lose not just our daily routines, but also our sense of purpose and motivation. And if we let that continue, we risk slipping into a loneliness that can chip away at our spirit, our hope, and ultimately our well-being. When I finally understood how high the stakes were, how the spiral of isolation could lead to both mental and physical decline, I decided to do something about it. You might be wondering, what difference can one decision make? But stay with me, because the 6 unexpected benefits I discovered changed not only how I spend my days, but how I view the years I have left. If you watch until the end, you'll hear about a special insight hardly anyone talks about. A unique aspect of social clubs that can turn your entire perspective around, no matter how old you are or how long you felt disconnected. Now you may be thinking, is this just your opinion? I'm no medical doctor, but the experiences I'm about to share are backed by countless seniors who found renewed vigor by making similar choices. Experts increasingly agree that social engagement can dramatically impact your health, mood, and even longevity. The results speak for themselves. A more active brain, a fuller heart, and a life that feels brimming with possibility rather than weighed down by regrets. Before we dive into each benefit, I'd love to ask a small favor. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and turn on the bell notification. I'm dedicated to sharing experiences and insights that can help enrich your life, and I don't want you to miss out on future videos. Also, if you enjoy what you hear today, type 1 in the comments to let me know. If you find any part of it unhelpful or not quite your cup of tea, type 0 so I can learn and improve. Your feedback truly makes a difference. I joined a senior social club at 82, and it transformed the way I look at my golden years. Let's talk about the 6 unexpected benefits that might do the same for you. These aren't just surface-level perks. They're life-altering insights that can renew your zest for living, no matter how many birthdays you've celebrated. The first benefit is perhaps the most surprising of all, one that defies the usual assumptions we have about aging and socializing. After all, most of us grew up hearing that you slow down and take it easy once you hit a certain age. Let me show you why that conventional wisdom is all backward. This club gave me a renewed sense of purpose I never saw coming. It might sound bold, but I believe one of the most toxic ideas society teaches us is that retirement or old age equates to becoming useless to the world. That misconception keeps us from looking for new avenues to contribute. I used to think my only purpose was to fill the hours with distractions until bedtime. Then I met Harold, 79, at the social club's weekly gathering. Harold had served in the military for 3 decades, raised 3 children, and even ran a small family restaurant. But when his wife passed away, he felt like his purpose left with her. He told me he spent months in a fog of loss, convincing himself that his best days were behind him and that his presence no longer mattered. What he discovered at our club was a hidden truth. Purpose doesn't retire just because you do. Within a few weeks of joining, Harold became the unofficial mentor for several new members, guiding them in everything from organizing club outings to simply giving a kind word of encouragement on a bad day. The shift in his eyes was incredible, like someone had switched on a light inside him that had been dark for ages. And that's precisely what convinced me of the power of social connections to reinvigorate our sense of meaning. The practical step to find a renewed sense of purpose is actually simpler than you think. Volunteer for just one small responsibility. Sign up to help plan a single event or offer to manage the welcome desk for new members at your local community center. By doing so, you set into motion a series of small obligations that get you out of bed with energy in the morning. The emotional benefit here is profound. You start to feel needed, and feeling needed is like a gentle wind at your back, propelling you forward with each new day. Imagine waking up each morning knowing you have something, even a tiny task, that others are counting on you to do. The difference in your mindset is like night and day. Instead of enduring the slow tick of the clock, you look forward to the hours ahead because you have a reason to engage. That alone can add a sparkle to your life that you might have thought was gone for good. Second, I found friendships where I least expected them, even beyond my own generation. Too many of us think, what's the point in making new friends at this stage? This is the common misconception that because we're older, we can't form meaningful connections or we won't have the energy to maintain them. But I challenge that notion head on. Friendship has no age limit, and genuine camaraderie can blossom in the most unexpected places, like a knitting circle, a reading club, or even a weekly card game night. I learned this through a remarkable woman named Connie, who was 84. She was hesitant to join our social group because she believed she was too old to start over. Yet within a few months, Connie found herself in the midst of a diverse circle of people spanning from 65 all the way to a lively 92-year-old. It turned out their different life stories only made the conversation richer. One afternoon, they started sharing tales about their first jobs. Connie had been a nurse, another had been a high school music teacher, yet another had owned a small grocery store. Before she knew it, Connie realized they weren't just acquaintances passing the time. They were friends who cared deeply about one another's well-being. It might feel intimidating to walk into a room of strangers and strike up a conversation, but a practical step is to connect over shared interests. If you love gardening, mention how you finally figured out a trick to keep your roses blooming longer. If you're into crossword puzzles, bring one along and invite someone to help you solve the tougher clues. Starting with a common activity provides a bridge for deeper connection. The emotional benefit? You remember that life is meant to be shared. When you find your people, even if it's just one or two, loneliness begins to melt away like snow in the spring sunshine. You might be worried about cliques, drama, or simply not fitting in, but I've seen it time and again. When you show genuine interest in others, real friendships form faster than you think. And you realize how wonderful it is to have someone who not only listens, but also relates to the unique ups and downs of this stage of life. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please type the number 2 in the comments to let me know you're here. Your engagement matters and it helps me keep creating content that speaks to our shared experiences. And if you haven't already subscribed, consider doing it now. You wouldn't want to miss the upcoming points. Third, my physical health began improving when I least expected it. We often assume that once we reach our mid-70s or 80s, any major health improvement is out of reach. Just manage what you have is the mindset. But consider how strongly our mental and emotional states affect our bodies. When you're involved in a social club, you're not just sitting around talking. You're often up on your feet, moving, participating in light activities, sometimes without even realizing it. And this gentle motion can work wonders on your joints, your circulation, and your overall vitality. Take Gabriel, 76, who joined our group primarily because he wanted to meet new people after relocating to be closer to his daughter. He never expected the physical benefits. Gabriel had arthritis in his knees, a condition that made him dread walks longer than 5 minutes. The first time he attended, we happened to be doing a small cooking class, which required walking from station to station, chopping veggies, stirring pots, and tasting each other's creations. After a few weeks of these classes, he noticed he could stand comfortably for longer periods, and his knees felt less stiff each morning. The surprising insight is that health improvements can come through simple, enjoyable engagement. Traditional wisdom says you need strict exercise regimens or complicated diet plans. But there's a hidden truth. Once you feel emotionally uplifted, your body often follows. Being part of a social circle that encourages activities, whether it's gardening, group walks, or even community service, keeps you active in ways that feel natural and fun. A practical tip is to pick an event each month that involves light movement. You could volunteer to help set up chairs before a meeting, serve refreshments, or join a group outing at a local park. It doesn't have to be strenuous. It just has to keep you from spending every hour of the day in your usual armchair. The emotional benefit is twofold. You gain confidence in your body's ability to move, and you reclaim some independence. Suddenly, tasks you dreaded become easier, and that renewed freedom lifts your spirits more than any medication label ever could. Just picture yourself walking into the kitchen in the morning without wincing or hesitating because your knees feel stronger. Or think about the joy of strolling around the block with your grandchild or pet without needing constant rest. That sense of empowerment can make every day feel like a fresh opportunity rather than another hurdle to overcome. Fourth, I saved money in the most unexpected ways by connecting with like-minded seniors. Nobody tells you this, but being part of a senior social club can actually be good for your wallet. Let me explain. There's a long-standing misconception that social activities always cost money: membership fees, event costs, transportation, and so on. In reality, once you're plugged into a community, you often find out about free local events, community discounts, and shared resources you'd never have discovered on your own. I met Anna, 81, who needed a new walker but was worried about the expense. She casually mentioned this concern at one of our club meetings, and another member instantly perked up. "I've got an extra one in my garage, practically new. I'd be happy to give it to you." That same day, Anna realized she had unopened craft supplies at home she no longer used, so she passed them along to someone else who wanted to start knitting. This sort of informal exchange happens all the time within close-knit communities. It's like an underground marketplace that's driven by kindness and mutual support, rather than profit. Here's the surprising truth. Once you stop isolating yourself, you gain access to a wealth of resources and information. Need a ride to a doctor's appointment? Somebody probably lives nearby and is happy to carpool. Want to learn how to fix a leaky faucet instead of hiring a pricey plumber? There's bound to be a hobbyist or retired tradesman in the group who can offer guidance or help for free. The key is participation. You can't reap these benefits if you only show up once and keep to yourself. A practical tip here is to make a mental list of things you either need or can give away. Mention them casually in conversations at the club. You'll be amazed at how frequently someone else is also looking for exactly what you have to offer or has exactly what you need. The emotional payoff is huge because not only are you saving money, but you're also forming deeper bonds through acts of generosity. Knowing you have a network that has your back is incredibly reassuring, especially on a fixed income. If you're still with me and finding these tips helpful, comment 4 down below to let me know you've made it this far. And don't forget, subscribing and turning on notifications will ensure you don't miss more ways to enrich your life through community and personal growth. I gained emotional resilience and discovered how to handle life's curveballs more gracefully. Let's be honest, aging comes with challenges that can shake us to our core. Loss of loved ones, sudden health issues, or big family changes like a child moving away. These can be emotionally draining. The common misunderstanding is thinking that you have to navigate all of this alone, especially if you're the type who says, "I don't want to be a burden." Here's where emotional support from a social circle becomes invaluable. Let me tell you about Gloria, 88, who joined our club soon after her sister passed away. At first, she hardly spoke. She'd sit quietly, offering a polite smile now and then. Over time, though, she began sharing small pieces of her grief with a few of us, and we listened. We didn't try to fix her sadness. We simply offered our presence and understanding. What Gloria found was a form of collective strength. On days when her sadness was overwhelming, she'd recall a comforting word or gesture from a fellow member and feel just a bit lighter. The hidden truth here is that emotional resilience isn't something you have to build alone in the dark. It grows through shared experiences, empathy, and the simple act of knowing that others have faced or are facing similar trials. A practical step is to attend at least one support-oriented gathering or discussion group. Many senior clubs have a life happenings session where people openly talk about their week, the good, the bad, and the challenging. Even if you say nothing at first, listening to others can alleviate the weight of feeling isolated in your struggles. The emotional benefit is immense. You start to realize that your problems aren't solely yours to bear. Hearing the perspective of someone who has walked the same road can be like catching your breath after swimming underwater for too long. It reminds you that as dark as a moment might seem, it can pass, and there's a community ready to help lift you out of the depths. This kind of resilience is like armor you carry, not to fight battles alone, but to face them without the gnawing fear that you're the only one going through tough times. At this point, you might already see the transformative power of social clubs, but there's one more benefit I saved for last. Something truly special that took me by surprise and could shift your understanding of what's possible at any age. 6. I rediscovered my capacity for growth and learning, proving we can all keep evolving no matter how old we are. Conventional wisdom might say that once you pass 80, there's not much left to learn or achieve. But that's a harmful myth. Yes, our pace might change, and yes, some of us have health limitations, but none of that negates our ability to grow intellectually, spiritually, and creatively. In fact, being around other curious and active seniors can light a spark you didn't even know was still there. I think of Frank, 85, a former truck driver who'd always wanted to try painting. He never had the time or resources when he was younger, and by the time he retired, he convinced himself it was too late. When he joined our club, he stumbled into an art workshop just to watch. One of the members noticed him observing and said, "Here, try it. You've nothing to lose." Frank dipped the paintbrush in bright blue watercolor and hesitantly swirled it on paper. The look of delight in his eyes after he saw what he'd created was unforgettable. Within weeks, he was attending every art workshop and even selling small paintings at local fairs, surprising himself and everyone else. The surprising truth is that learning can be more fun and freeing as we age, because we're often less worried about perfection or competition. We do it for the joy of discovery. A practical tip for nurturing this growth is to join one group activity each month that you've never tried before. Maybe a dance class, a tech workshop to learn new apps, or a local photography outing. Allow yourself to be a beginner again. It's liberating to learn without the pressure of having to excel for a career or a grade. The emotional benefit is perhaps the sweetest of all, a new sense of wonder that reminds you there's still so much life to explore. When you accomplish something you didn't think was possible at your age, it's like adding vibrant color to a page in your life story that you thought was already complete. You realize in a deeply profound way that there's no real expiration date on your potential. If you've stayed with me through all 6 points, thank you. I'd love for you to comment 6 below to let me know you made it to the end of the benefits. Your participation means a lot, and it helps me connect with you on a deeper level. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so now and turn on the notifications. Together, we can explore more paths to a fulfilling senior life. Now, I want to take a moment to reflect on what we've covered and why it matters so much. We've explored how a senior social club can reinvigorate your sense of purpose, ignite genuine friendships, subtly boost your physical health, ease financial burdens through community support, strengthen your emotional resilience, and even awaken your potential for continuous learning. That's a lot of transformative power, especially for something that's often dismissed as a fun pastime for retirees. The truth is, these 6 benefits can fundamentally alter your day-to-day experience, turning what might feel like an isolated existence into a vibrant chapter of life. But here's the thing. None of these benefits will matter if they remain theoretical. The real magic happens when you take action. Maybe that means Googling senior social clubs near me, or asking a friend if they know of any gatherings in your area. Perhaps it's as simple as making a phone call to a local community center and asking about upcoming events. The point is to shift from thinking to doing. Don't wait for your circumstances to change on their own. Be the catalyst for your own transformation. I encourage you to pause right now and picture what your life could look like a few months down the road if you take these insights to heart. Imagine waking up excited about your plans for the day, whether it's volunteering at the club, sharing laughs with new friends, or surprising yourself with a new hobby you never thought you'd try. Picture yourself feeling more resilient when setbacks come along, having people you trust to share both sorrow and joy. Then imagine the sense of belonging you'll feel when you realize you're a vital part of a caring, supportive community. One small first step is all it takes. Maybe you can decide on a day to visit a social club, event, or even call a local senior center and find out what's on their schedule. If you're worried about going alone, consider inviting a neighbor or relative to join you. Let that first step become the doorway to a new world of connection and personal growth. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which of these 6 benefits resonated with you the most? Is it the idea of finding renewed purpose, or maybe the chance to learn something new? Let me know one takeaway you plan to implement in your own life. Reading your comments not only motivates me, but it also helps others realize they're not alone in seeking change. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. And if you know someone else who might benefit, maybe a family member or an old friend, share this video with them. Your support truly does make a difference. It helps us continue creating content that informs, inspires, and reminds us all that there's always more life to live and more joy to find. Thank you for watching, and I can't wait to see how these insights shape your journey. No matter what challenges come your way, remember that you have the power to make choices that brighten your days. Here's to a life that continues to grow richer with each passing year.